I'm Natalie.
And I'm Lara.
And we work in NCFE's customer experience team. So today we're going to be taking you through how to access your external assessment results, how to submit an inquiry about results, and also how to book learners in for a resit as well. So at the end of the webinar, we'll be holding a questions and answers session that should last approximately around 15 minutes. So please do stick around at the end if you have anything you'd like to ask in relation to what we talk about today. So we'll get started. So on your external assessment results release date, an email will be sent to your school containing an attachment that contains your learner external assessment results. So the email will be sent to whoever we have down as the exams contact for your centre. So for this reason, it's very important that you do update us about any changes to their contact details, just so we can ensure the email is going to the relevant person. So your results are also available on the portal, and they are actually usually uploaded prior to us sending the email. However, the results on the portal will be preliminary. They only become final once you receive, and I want to show you this now, once you receive this email, which hopefully you should be able to see on screen now if all is going well. So the email that you can see here, this is what you will get on results release date, and it tells you a little bit about the report that's attached to the email, and also gives you a bit of an overview of what to do next regarding any learners that need to resit the external assessment. So as you can see, the grading summary report is attached. I'm just going to open that now. Okay, this is of course a test environment, but when you come to access this report, this document will be password protected, and the password will be your NCFE centre number, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I've just attached it to a normal email. It should be opening any second now. It does take a little longer sometimes with it being a webinar, and the platform can tend to slow things down a little bit, so just bear with me. It's a good sign, Excel's starting. Here we go. Brilliant. So this is the grading summary report that you're going to receive in that results email. So this is a breakdown of what your learner has achieved in each of the assessment criteria that together go to make up the external assessment in total, as you can see in this table here. So this is what you will receive, but obviously you'll have all your learners' names listed there. So when I say assessment criteria, this column here, the AC, that stands for assessment criteria. So the grading structure of the external assessment is pass, merit, distinction, not yet achieved. So the NYA you can see here, that stands for not yet achieved learner, hasn't quite done enough to pass the external assessment. So if eligible for another attempt at the external assessment, they can then be booked in for a resit. So this report can be shared with your delivery staff, and it should be helpful in assisting them to identify any learners' strengths, weaknesses. Learners get 2 attempts at the external assessment, so as long as they still have another attempt remaining, this information can be used to target any areas of development before they resit the external assessment next time. We do also have some other reports that can be used in conjunction with this one to provide you with an even clearer picture of any areas of development. So these can be found by visiting the qualification page on QualHub. So we're going to go and do that now. So here's one I prepared earlier. So once you're there on QualHub on the page, all you would do to access the other documents is you would scroll down to the support materials section. So, and then once you're there, you're scrolling down to find the most recent versions of the Chief Examiner report and also the mark scheme. So I'm just going to do that now. I need to scroll because the more recent stuff tends to get put on at the end of the list, you see. It just gets added on to the end. So I'm just going to scroll down now, nearly there. Okay, here we go. So the reason that the report you can see here, sorry, it's the Chief Examiner report we're looking at first, is for March 2018. That's simply because there are 2 external assessment windows in the year, and the results haven't yet been released for the more recent one, which took place in November of this year. So that's the only reason for that. The documents for the window, the relevant window, become available on the website within 1 week of the results release date. So that's when you can expect to see those uploaded onto the website. So as you can see, you've got the Chief Examiner report here. So I'm just going to open that up. So this is basically a generic report. So it isn't specific to your school. Its aim is to point out the positives and negatives of the evidence marked within that specific assessment window, to guide you to areas where learners are performing well and also not so well as well. So once it opens, I'll be able to show you in a little bit more detail what it looks like. Here we go. Perfect. So if we scroll down, what you'll see first is kind of a general overview of the Chief Examiner's findings in relation to the evidence submitted within the window. Just going to scroll down to get to that now. Right, so yeah, as you can see, there's a little bit of an overview there. But then further down, there's a more detailed breakdown of each assessment criteria that make up the external assessment, and it also describes the sort of general standard of learners' work within that assessment criteria. I'm just going to try and, I'm just scrolling and scrolling, and the document is loading quite slowly, so I shouldn't keep you too much longer. Yes, here we go. So as you can see, for each assessment criteria, it gives a description of how the learners fared across the board. So the next document that I'd like to show you is the mark scheme. So the mark scheme basically cross-references the questions asked in the external assessment with the assessment criteria that the question relates to, and it gives details on what the learner would need to do to achieve a pass, merit, distinction in each question. So it's another really good one for your delivery staff to be looking at in conjunction with the grading summary report, just to kind of drill down and better support learners for their next attempt. So I'm just waiting for that to open up now, as you can see. Here we go, perfect. So that's what this looks like in brief. I'll just show you this very quickly. Yeah, so you've got the assessment criteria here, what learners would need, and also the question that was asked in the external assessment here, and then what learners would need to do to get a pass, a merit, distinction. And then the other document I'd like to show you is the pass paper. Now, the pass paper is pretty much self-explanatory. It's a copy of the external assessment paper itself, and I'm not actually going to go into that one because, like I say, it does what it says on the tin. It's there to help prepare your learners for the next attempt at the external assessment. As mentioned earlier, learners are allowed 2 attempts at the external assessment. If you ever need to see when the external assessment windows are or when the results will be released, you would access that in the external assessment timetable document to check. Now, a copy of this is actually just here underneath the past paper. So I'm going to click into that now. There are actually a couple of different places that you can access this document. As you can see, it's on the qualification page. There's also a link to it on the results email that we looked at earlier. It's towards the bottom of the email. And you can also find it under the Delivery and Learner Support tab in QualHub. So this is where you go, and it's going to give you all the essential dates. So I'm just waiting for this to open now. Once it is open, I'm going to kind of show you a little bit of what it looks like and what dates you can access using this this document. So here we go. Right, so I'm just going to scroll down. You just need to get to the main menu, and then it's all separated out into each V Cert area. So what we're going to be looking at today, once it fully loads, is health and fitness. So I'm just waiting for that to load up now. Just give it a moment. I've got a feeling it should be here, but it doesn't want to appear for now. Oh no, I was wrong. I'm just going to scroll down. Usually what you could do though is just click on it from that main menu section, and it would take you straight down to the relevant section. Unfortunately, I guessed wrong. Health and fitness wasn't there, so that's fine. So we'll just scroll down manually, that's not a problem. So here we are, health and fitness. So we're looking at level 2 today. And as you can see, bear with me. Right, so as you can see, this middle column here tells us when the assessment date and time. So that's, you know, well, the external assessment's Windows date and time. And then the entry cutoff date, which you can see to the left of that, that shows you the date that you need to enter your learners by in order for them to be able to sit in that particular window. And then the final column is when the results are going to be released. So this is really where you need to be referring back to find out that information. This will be, if there are any changes to the schedule, which can happen from time to time, it will always get reflected on the website. So I would always recommend coming back through these channels to the document, just so you can make sure that that is still the correct information. So now we're going to talk about what happens if a teacher delivering the qualification has looked at the grading summary report and the other documents we've discussed today, but still can't see why a learner hasn't passed. So it isn't an option for us to return your learner's completed scripts to you. And the reason for this is that, well, they remain the property of NCFE. We also sometimes use them as part of standardization as well. And also another reason that we can't return scripts is that if we're requested by Ofqual, we may need to return them for auditing purposes. So what you would do, I mean, you do have options available. You could, in this instance, if you wanted to, you could submit an inquiry about the result. So the way you would do this is by clicking into the Delivery and Learner Support tab on QualHub, which I'm just going to go back to now. Not now. Right, Delivery and Learner Support. And then from there, once that loads up, all you would do is scroll down the screen, and you're looking for the forms section, because you can see in there inquiries and appeals about results and assessment decisions is held in there. So just click on forms, and then you would click top right, inquiries and appeals about results and assessment decisions here. So if you click into there, okay, and once that opens up, I will show you the web form. Just waiting for that to respond now. Okay, here we go. So obviously I've quite a lot of information at the top of the screen. If you scroll down, which I'm just trying to do now, bear with me. Yes, so the web form itself, there we go. The web form is just underneath that information. You just need to scroll down to access it. So this is the form basically you need to complete in order to make that inquiry about the results. So there are two different options for submitting inquiries about external assessment results. The first one is called a clerical check. So this is where we'll check to ensure that the marks have been correctly recorded and processed on the system. So it costs £5 per batch to do this, and you would also need to submit that request within 10 working days of receipt of the results. The other option is called reassessment, and this is where we will carry out a full remark of your learner's work by a different examiner, and that costs £45 per learner. And again, the request must be submitted within 10 working days of receipt of the results. Alternatively, if a clerical check has already been requested, you'd need to request reassessment within 3 working days from receipt of the results of the clerical check. So the way you would do it, as you can see on the web form, you've got a little box to say what you're submitting an inquiry about. So you would just click in either one of those to reflect which one it was. So from submitting your inquiry to us, you can expect a clerical check request to be concluded within 5 working days and a reassessment request within 30 working days. All this information can be found in our policy, which you'll see at the very top of the screen. So all the time frames, all the requirements can all be found in there. So have a read through when you get the chance. You know, that would be the best thing to do. It also gives you further guidance to help you complete this whole process as well. If you receive the outcome to your reassessment or your clerical check and you're still unhappy, you do have the option to appeal as well, and you can submit an appeal to us, and the way you would do that is also described within the policy as well. I'm now going to hand it over to Laura so she can talk about receiving results via the portal and also submitting, and also entering learners for a reset. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm now going to show you an alternative way of viewing your learners' results, which is via the portal. And this method will show you your learners' results, your learners' overall results at a glance in the form of a report, as well as a results slip that you can actually hand out to your learners. And these reports can be accessed on the day of the results release day, but it's worth noting that you can't access a grading summary on the portal. The grading summary is only available via the password protected email as already discussed. So I'm just going to log on to the portal now, if you bear with me. Okay, so once you're on the portal, you can access the results by going up to the top ribbon and clicking on results. Sorry, it's been a bit slow there. Okay, and once that loads, if you pop your batch number into this field, and then quick search, and that'll bring up all the learners that have sat the assessment in question. So on this page, for a quick view of a single learner's result, you just simply need to click on the button that says View, and that'll bring up a pop-up box. Okay, and this box shows you the assessment date and time here, the single learner's result here, and a list of reports to download on the right-hand side here. So I'll go through these reports now. So firstly, the order summary. This just brings up the registration charge since assessment is included in this. Unless the entry includes reset charges or late entry fees, which would generate if we processed a late entry request for you after the cut-off date. So I'll just let that load and then you can see what that looks like. There you are, so that just includes the registration charge since assessment's included in that. Okay, so secondly, the external assessment results confirmation report. This gives you all of your learners' overall results for this assessment at a glance. So I'll open this up so that you can see what this looks like. It's thinking about it. There we are. So it has all your information there, the qualification, date and time of assessment, and in the table here it's got your learner names, their number, and the overall results. And thirdly, the external assessment learner results slip. So I'll open this up so that you can see what this looks like. Hopefully it's quicker than the other ones. There we go. There we go. So this has each learner's external assessment results on a sort of slip, as you can see. So you've got the option to print these off and cut them so that you can actually hand them out to the learner as sort of like to let them know what their result was for that assessment. So that's all the reports on this page. So also worth noting that if you do sort of prefer results to be formatted in Excel, as some people do, you do have this option here. So if you click on Download Learners Results, that will open up the overall results for your learners on an Excel spreadsheet for you. So once you get your learners' results, if they haven't achieved at the assessment, you may want to book them in for a resit for a future assessment window. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So for V Certs, the registration fee covers one attempt of the external assessment, but your learners are allowed 2 attempts in total. So if they need to resit, this is chargeable at £7.50 per learner. It's also worth noting that if the learner didn't attend the initial assessment, and if you notified us of this on the Invigilators register, then this won't class as an attempt, so you won't be charged for a resit by booking the learner in again. So booking a resit differs from entering learners for their first attempt, which you would do at the same time as registration for V Certs on the registration page. This time we'll need to go to entries and then enter your learners. And then this brings you to the sort of entries wizard. This helps you make your entries with 4 steps. So I'll just click next and I'll show you how to do that. So first step is just to enter your batch number. So I'm just going to use the same batch that we've been using before. And then you click search. And then the batch will populate in this field here. At this point, you just need to make sure that you click select to highlight your batch. And then click next. So the second step is to select the window that you need to enter your learners in for their resit. And this tends to be the next assessment window available, but if for whatever reason you need to enter the learner for a later date, you can do so by selecting the date from the drop-down menu here. Just on that loads. There we are. And if you just pop your site in there, and the date and time generates automatically there. So the next step here is just to click next. Bear with me while that's loading. There we go. So the third step is to select your learners. There's also a handy colour-coded system here on this page, which flags whether a learner has already achieved this assessment, is already entered for this assessment, is exempt from this assessment, or if they've exceeded their 2 attempts. So I'm just going to try and enter both of these learners for a resit if they wanted to improve their grade. And I'll just click next. Okay, so the 4th step is just for verification. So if you're sure that these are the correct learners that you need to be entered for their resit, you can simply click finish. And if you realise after this point that you've made a mistake, or if a learner's not continuing with the course and so on, you just need to get in touch with us so that we can amend the entry for you. So once you've clicked finish, your learners are entered for their resits, and you'll be able to download these reports. So the order report, as before, will just show any resit charges. The invigilators register, this needs to be completed and sent back with the assessment papers. And the entries confirmation report, this is just for your own records to show which learners are entered and for which assessment date. But don't worry too much about downloading all of these reports now, because you can easily access them at a later date, and I'll show you how you can do that. If you go back up to entries and then go down to previous entries, and once that's loaded, there we go. So it's going to let me pop in the batch now and click search. And all you need to do here is go to the icon that looks like a little graph. If you click on that, that brings up all those reports there. So you can download those at any time. So that concludes the demonstration part of the webinar today. So if you do have any service-related queries at any point, you can just contact us by email at service@ncfe.org.uk or call us on 0191 239 8000. We'll stay on to answer any questions you might have on the back of this webinar. So if you have any questions, please type them into the questions box and we'll answer them as they come through.